All right, so cricket T20 caravan has moved to US now और इंडिया और विंडीज के बीच में जो जबरदस्त T20 सीरीज चल रही थी उसका जो फोर्थ T20 आया है अब वो यूएस में खेला जाएगा. दिस मैच इज गोइंग टू हैपन इन सेंट्रल फॉरवर्ड रीजनल पार्क ग्राउंड जो कि रात 8 बजे शुरू होगा. वो T20 से पहले मैं आपको बता दूं 3 T20 में से 2 T20 में इंडिया ने बाजी मारी है, वहीं एक मैच विंडीज ने जीता है. और इसी बात पर मेरे साथ बात करने के लिए मौजूद हैं प्रत्यय और विघ्नेश. सो आप दोनों का स्वागत है शो में. प्रत्यय एंड विघ्नेश डिस्कस करेंगे 4 T20 के बारे में. बट सबसे पहले आपसे पूछना चाहूंगी मैं प्रत्यय इस बारे में कि रोहित शर्मा के बारे में एक बार पूछ लेते हैं. थर्ड मैच में बैक स्पैज्म की इंजरी हुई थी. दो पोस्ट मैच में उन्होंने बोला था कि आई एम ओके एंड आई एम गोइंग टू प्ले दिस मैच. बट लेट्स से अगर इतना हमें गैप नहीं मिलता रोहित शर्मा को इंजरी से वापस आने का और ठीक होकर के वापस से खेलने का, तो क्या होता? मतलब फिर तो टीम का इम्बैलेंस फिर से आ जाता, फिर एक नया कैप्टन होता, फिर से वही हिस्ट्री रिपीट होती जो हमेशा देखने को मिलती है. इसका सोल्यूशन क्या है और होता क्या है?
Well, if you ask me, I think रोहित is definitely an important player. लेकिन फिटनेस जो उनकी है वो कंसर्न है क्योंकि जब से वो कप्तान बने हैं फुल टाइम we have seen him missing out on quite a few games. So I think that yes, this is going to be a concern going forward because this is one issue which can pop up even during the World Cup. You never know. But I think the good part is that because India has had so many captains in the last 1 year or so, we have had 7 to 8 captains, and all of them have performed. It's not like that they have looked at sea or they have not been able to lead the team the way you would have liked them to. So I think that also gives you a sort of a depth that not other teams have. You talk about batting depth, you talk about bowling depth. No one really talks about captaincy depth, but India has kind of shown that they have a depth in captaincy as well because they have so many options and so many riches even there. So I think that even in this squad, if you look, there is perhaps Hardik Pandya who could perhaps lead you. There are a couple of other options who have been the vice captain of the side. There is Rishabh Pant, so even he can kind of just step up if the need arises because this is also a crucial time. There's Asia Cup coming, then there's the World Cup, a couple of series against South Africa and Australia as well. So I don't think that India would be wanting to risk Rohit Sharma because you do not want to aggravate that injury and you want to be cautious, I think. So I think from that perspective, even if Rohit Sharma misses out, I don't think that India would be too worried about who will lead the side because they have at least 2 to 3 players to do that. But yes, going forward, we of course would want as Indian fans that Rohit Sharma stays fit because he is definitely a part of the plans and very important one because he's the captain, he's the opener, he's the man in form, and you want him inside the team, definitely not on the benches.
राइट. इवन विघ्नेश आई थिंक दिस इज अ ब्लेसिंग इन डिस्गाइज कि रोहित शर्मा या हमारे जो सीनियर प्लेयर्स थे उन्होंने इतना रेस्ट लिया, इतनी बार इंजरी हुई. नाउ वी हैव 7 to 8 कैप्टन्स का बैकअप. मतलब यूजुअली होता नहीं है इतने बैटर्स का या प्लेयर्स का बैकअप, बट वी हैव कैप्टन्स फॉर दिस मच. सो व्हाट इज योर थॉट इन दिस? कि आप क्या इस बारे में कहना चाहेंगे? इज इट गुड और बैड टू हैव मैनी बैकअप? इससे क्या होगा? आपकी कैप्टन की वैल्यू होती है कि भाई दिस पर्सन इज आवर कैप्टन एंड ही इज गोइंग टू टेक अस फॉरवर्ड. बट अब वो चीज 7-8 लोगों में डिवाइड हो. सो आई डू यू थिंक दिस इज अ गुड थिंग इंडिया हैज और
Again, yeah. So coming to the 7 to 8 captains, again, I'm not a big fan of chopping and changing, I would like to say. So going with a core and going with the base of a side, captaining maximum of 2 captains, interchanging the rotational policy and stuff. If that is the way to go forward, that is one way. Or else with injuries, I don't see it as a massive positive with 4 to 5 captains in the same side. Again, you might not need so many options with the World Cup year coming up. I think it's always solid to have 1 or 2 captains, maybe a vice captain to go to him and ask for. Yeah, suggestions will be there from all around the team, but again, it's about sticking to the base, sticking to the core and moving forward.
राइट. एज यू कैन सी ऑन आवर स्क्रीन हेड टू हेड की बात कर रहे थे. 23 मैचेस खेले हैं इंडिया और विंडीज ने एक दूसरे के साथ, और विंडीज ने 7 मैचेस जीते हैं, वही इंडिया ने 15 मैचेस जीते हैं और एक मैच का कोई रिजल्ट नहीं रहा है. सो लेट्स कम बैक टू दिस मैच 4 T20I. अगर बात करें तो इस पर्टिकुलर वेन्यू पर भी हम लोग पहले भी खेल चुके हैं. इंडिया विंडीज के बीच में मैचेस हो चुके हैं. इस वेन्यू के बारे में पर्टिकुलरली बात करेंगे तो मैं प्रत्यय आपसे पूछना चाहूंगी कि दिस पर्टिकुलर पिच इटसेल्फ ऑफर्स 200 प्लस स्कोर्स, जो कि कई बार एक सेम मैच में हम लोगों ने 2 बार 200 बनते हुए भी देखा है. सो इस तरह की पिच है. इस मैच में आप क्या एक्सपेक्ट कर रहे हैं विद बोथ द टीम्स, बोथ द लाइनअप्स? क्या हम लोग 200 का मार्क टच करेंगे? क्या एक हाई स्कोरिंग मैच देखने को मिलेगा?
बिल्कुल देखिए, क्योंकि जब हम इस वेन्यू की अगर बात करें, सो इट इज़ वन ऑफ द शॉर्टर वेन्यूज। हालांकि क्रिकेट बहुत ज़्यादा यहाँ पे हुआ नहीं है, तो आपके पास सैम्पल साइज बहुत बड़ा नहीं है जिसके बेसिस पे आप एक ओपिनियन फॉर्म कर सकें। लेकिन जितना भी सैम्पल साइज हमारे पास में है, उसके बेसिस पे इफ यू विल गो, सो यू विल रियलाइज दैट इट्स वन ऑफ दोज ग्राउंड जहाँ पे रन बहुत इजीली बनते हैं. What kind of a surface would be on offer, that remains to be seen, of course. But I think that yes, we definitely can expect a high scoring encounter, and India would also want to avenge, because that was one of the high scoring encounter they ended up losing. So I think they will have kind of some sort of scores to settle with West Indies. And not to forget, this team is definitely high on confidence, because जिस तरीके का form पिछले 1.5 से 2 साल में हमने इंडिया का देखा है, नॉट लूजिंग टू मेनी गेम्स, दे हैवंट लॉस्ट इवन अ सिंगल सीरीज आफ्टर द शॉक एग्जिट फ्रॉम 2021 वर्ल्ड कप. सो आई थिंक all of these things, if you actually take into consideration at the moment, India is in good stead. And I think all that they want to carry on is just, just try out those combinations, perhaps find the missing links, kind of just settle the combinations before going into the mega event, because that is almost round the corner. So I think India is pretty much pleased. In fact, if you talk about who have to make amends, I think it is West Indies more, because their form has been slightly up and down. And this format, losing in the ODIs perhaps would not disturb them as much. But this is one format that they like to play a lot more than any other format. If they're losing in this, then they are not a happy bunch of players. So I think they will rather want to make more amends. India would be in a pretty happy space at the moment.
राइट और अब इस T20I मैच के पिच की बात हुई रही है तो एक बार प्लेयर्स टू वॉच आउट पर भी नजर डाल लेते हैं। आफ्टर ऑल कौन से प्लेयर्स हैं जो इस मैच में इंडिया के लिए वॉच आउट बनेंगे और ऐसे प्लेयर्स जो विंडीज की तरफ से भी गेम चेंजर का रोल निभा सकते हैं। तो एक बार अपनी स्क्रीन पर देखेंगे इंडिया की तरफ से भुवनेश्वर कुमार। इट इज 71 मैचेस 73 रन्स, उनकी इकोनॉमी है 6.93 की, उनका बेस्ट फिगर अभी तक रहा है 5 विकेट्स फॉर 24 इन T20Is। सो भुवनेश्वर कुमार T20Is में इंडिया के एंड से। अब अगर पूरन की बात करें जो कि हमारे नेक्स्ट प्लेयर टू वॉच आउट है विंडीज की तरफ से, 63 मैचेस खेले हैं, रन है उनके 1355 रन्स, 28 की एवरेज, ऑलमोस्ट 29 आई वुड से, और उनका हाईएस्ट है 74 नॉट आउट। सो भुवी और निकोलस की बात कर रहे हैं इस मैच के प्लेयर टू वॉच आउट फॉर इंडिया एंड विंडीज। Let's discuss about these teams इस वक्त। विघ्नेश, I'll ask you about this कि Bhuvi और Nicholas Puran को हम देख रहे हैं, these are players to watch out. What are your players to watch out? What do you think, other than Nicholas Puran and Bhuvaneshwar, which player from both the team can be player to watch out of this match?
Again, before the T20 series, as I told, Surya Kumar Yadav is one of the best white ball batters for India right now. He's again the go-to man for India with the form he's in. He's free, like scoring run for fun these days. So with the 100 and the 76 not out, the 76 the other day. So for India, I think he's the go-to man. From coming to the bowling department, I think chopping and changing maybe, but Avesh's spot might be a concern. He might go out. Come with the West Indies, it's again Nicholas Puran. I think he's one of the most solid players in the lineup. With Kyle Mayers scoring 73 the other day, I think he's also Mayers and King have found some touch. I think if they can carry on the momentum after the power play, I think they can reach mark of about 200. But if you see this ground, it's again a defending round. I would say as only two teams or two times a score of 180 plus has been chased. So again, the other day, in 2016, West Indies scored 245 and India lost by a run. It can go either ways. This ground provides value for its shots, but again, it's a small ground. So it doesn't mean you can easily chase down 240, 230. It's been done only twice. 180 plus is done only twice. So I think it's a tricky toss. It's going to be an exciting game.
Right, all right. So after this, let's take a look at player battle which we have for this match. Since भूवी की बात कर रहे थे, पूरन की बात कर रहे थे, तो भूवी और ब्रैंडन किंग के बीच में एक प्लेयर बैटल, इंटरेस्टिंग नंबर्स हमारे पास हैं। अभी तक भूवी के द्वारा जब गेंदबाजी की गई है तब ब्रैंडन किंग ने 30 रन्स बनाए हैं 35 बॉल्स पे, जिसमें 2 बार भुवनेश्वर कुमार ने उन्हें आउट किया है। I'll ask you both, विघ्नेश एंड प्रत्यय both, इस प्लेयर बैटल में आपको किसका पलड़ा भारी लगता है, कि भुवी का भारी है या ब्रैंडन किंग का भारी है? Who's gonna win this player battle today in this match only? We'll start with Pratyay.
Well, see, it's a fickle format, we always say, because anything can happen. I mean, on a given day, if you talk about King, he has kind of gotten into his groove. You had a good couple of first T20Is, I think. So yes, he is one of those players who is amongst the runs now. And I think the concern for West Indies is more in their middle order, with Puran and Hetmaya and Powell, not as much as the opener. So I think he would definitely want to kind of dominate Bhuvneshwar, but not to forget, I mean, we know what Bhuvi is capable of. because he is someone who has been doing this for years. I mean, making the ball talk, the new ball, and he's one of the biggest threats. I mean, going around in the world cricket, I think at the moment there are few who can match his caliber to do what he does with the new ball, because he is your strike bowler. He's someone who gives you wickets in the power play. And what does those wickets do is that, of course, I mean, it's one of those phases where every team is looking on the charge. They're wanting to score runs because you have fielders inside and you want to score as many runs as possible. So I think that it's a fair call, but I think given the kind of form that King has been in, I don't think that he would be out too early. So perhaps I think that for today I would rather choose King over Boogie.
Okay, Vignesh, a quick word of yours. Bhuvi versus King. But who is your pick? Tell us.
I'm going with Bhuvi as the new ball. He can make the ball talk, and you don't find many around the world who can, when batsmen are actually going bonkers in the power play and also at the death, who can come and contain. And he's faced with criticism, I tell you, but again, you can't buy experience. So I'm going with Bhuvi today.
Okay, so now we have approaching milestones. After this little battle, let's see what are the approaching milestones of this match. Who's going to get what? Azaria Joseph, 147, is three scalps away from completing 150 wickets across formats. Suryakumar Yadav is 12 runs short of completing 1,000 runs across formats. Nicholas Puran needs 2 fours to complete 100 fours in T20Is. ये अप्रोचिंग माइलस्टोन्स है हमारे पास. इसके बाद नजर डालेंगे अगर हमारे पास और कुछ हो. Yes, Rohit Sharma requires 46 runs to get to 3,500 runs in T20Is. Rovman Powell requires 5 sixes to complete 50 maximums in T20 internationals, and Shreyas Iyer needs 35 runs to reach the milestone of 1,000 runs in T20Is. All right. सो प्रत्यय एंड विघ्नेश, हम लोग अभी बात कर रहे थे सूर्य कुमार यादव की एक माइलस्टोन की. 12 रन्स रह गए हैं उनको अचीव करने के लिए, लेकिन उनके बारे में बात करें, किस फॉर्म में चल रहे हैं, क्या मजेदार क्रिकेट खेल रहे हैं. एवरी शॉट उनका देख के लगता है कि वो ड्रेसिंग रूम से प्रिपेयर होकर के आते हैं, उनको टाइम नहीं चाहिए सेट होने का. ही इज ऑलरेडी वेल सेट. सो सूर्य कुमार यादव के बारे में आप लोगों से वर्ड लेना चाहूंगी. व्हाट आर योर थॉट ऑन हिम, और स्पेशली जब T20 वर्ल्ड कप इतना करीब है, एशिया कप इतना करीब है, क्या सूर्य कुमार यादव अपनी जगह सीमेंट कर चुके हैं, जबकि केएल राहुल, विराट कोहली अभी एशिया कप के लिए वापस आएंगे. इज ही अ विन पर्सन फॉर अस? इज ही गोइंग टू बी लाइक द पर्सन जो हमारे प्लेइंग 11 में जरूर से हमें दिखने वाले हैं? विल स्टार्ट विद विघ्नेश दिस टाइम.
Yeah, it's a no-brainer to be honest. As he's right now, I feel again that as I told the other day, he's one of the best white ball batters going around. Special players have an extra millisecond, so I think he's one of those with Rohit Sharma as well. You can count him in, but Surya Kumar Yadav, I think he's scoring runs for fun. It's a he straight away slots into the number 4 spot. I feel for the Asia Cup and the World Cup.
Right, and Pratyay, your thought on this?
No doubt, I think. I mean, he is one of those players who, at the moment, is writing his name on the sheet. There's no question about that. I mean, no matter who you have in the side, you have to have Surya Kumar Yadav, because look at the kind of things he brings onto the table. You're asking him to open, he's giving you runs. You make him play at number 3, he's still scoring. Ask him to finish the game. So he's one of those guys. You just go and tell him that this is what the management and team wants you to do, and he will say yes. So I think if you have that kind of a player in your ranks, it's always a blessing to have that kind of a player. And he's absolutely, in no sense, I think he's absolutely one of the players who can play any shot at any, I think, the most outrageous of shots. You cannot even imagine if the ball could actually land up in that area, and he'll do that with such effortless ease. So I think India has not actually produced these many 360-degree players, and to have someone like him, because when he gets going, which is very often, by the way, when he gets going, he is someone who can actually break the confidence of even the best of bowlers, because when he is on song, we know that he has got that guts to just take apart the bowling. And he is someone who can give you that, he can play the anchor. So suddenly you are 20 for 3 and you want someone to kind of solidify the innings, he can play that role. If you want someone to just go bonkers and just do something like a 22 ball 50 or 25 ball 60, he can do that as well. So I think, and he is one of the more experienced players. I think he understands his game very well. Has been in the setup for quite long now, even in international cricket, before that in the IPL. So he's one of those players who understands his game very well. And I think India is definitely going to need him, be it Asia Cup or be it in Australia. I think he's definitely going to be a part of the plans. No doubt, no two ways about that.
राइट. और अभी जब प्रत्यय बोल भी रहे थे कि व्हेन ही गेट्स गोइंग, तो वो कहते हैं ना कि द टफ गेट्स गोइंग, तो इट नेवर गेट्स टफ व्हेन ही गेट्स गोइंग. बेसिकली दिस हैपेंस विद सूर्य कुमार यादव. But whenever I look at him, whenever he plays cricket, so it looks like that he's that Jack that knows all the traits. But यहाँ पर बात करेंगे एक और जैक की, जिनको हमने जैक समझा था, that was श्रेयस अय्यर. सो व्हाट हैपेंस इज विघ्नेश एंड प्रत्यय, हम लोगों ने देखा प्रीवियस टाइम में श्रेयस अय्यर को काफी मौके मिले टू सीमेंट हिज प्लेस जस्ट लाइक सूर्य कुमार यादव। बैक किया राहुल और रोहित शर्मा के डुओ ने कई मैचेस में, बट उतना अच्छा परफॉर्मेंस हमें उनकी तरफ से देखा नहीं। टैलेंट में कोई कमी नहीं है, हम लोगों ने आईपीएल में भी उनको देखा, टैलेंट में कोई कमी नहीं है, बट क्लिक नहीं कर पा रहे हैं। व्हाट्स द प्रॉब्लम विद हिम? क्योंकि बहुत मौके मिल गए हैं। अगेन बोलूंगी, केएल राहुल और विराट कोहली एशिया कप के लिए वापस आएंगे, तब तक उनको मौके पे मौके मिलने हैं श्रेयस अय्यर को, बट उनको अपनी जगह पक्की करने के लिए क्या करना होगा? आफ्टर सबसे बड़ी बात, प्रॉब्लम क्या है उनके साथ, क्यों क्लिक नहीं कर पा रहे हैं? विल स्टार्ट विद प्रत्यय।
See, I think it's not about not having the talent, क्योंकि अगर आप श्रेयस अय्यर के कैलिबर की बात करें, मुझे नहीं लगता कि कैलिबर की कोई भी कमी है, और कोई भी क्रिकेटर जो इस लेवल तक आके खेल रहा है, इंडिया की टीम में अपनी जगह बना पा रहा है, I don't think that we will be questioning whether they have the elements to be that good a player. We of course know that he's a great player, but a couple of things which actually do not go in his favor at the moment. The thing is that this team is so highly competitive. I mean, despite all the backing that Rahul Dravid and Rohit Sharma have given, a couple of bad performances, and suddenly you start feeling the pressure because there's so much on the bench. There are so many other options who are waiting that you start feeling yourself perhaps inside that, am I eating someone else's spot? Is there someone who can actually replace me? The good part is that yes, Rohit, Rahul Dravid, all of these are backing the players, but you still have to understand that you do not will have too long a time in this particular team, because it's always going to be difficult when you have so many options. So I think that is one thing that he needs to take care of course. And secondly, I think that if you actually look at the blueprint that India has gone on with in the recent past, in the last 5 or 6 months, we have seen that they have a very evident plan of not playing conservative cricket, or not just stepping off the accelerator. So even if they are losing wickets, there's a element of fearlessness that, okay, fine, if even if we have lost 3 wickets in the power play, we are still not going to bog ourselves down, and we are still going to aim at something like a 160 or 180. In that process, we will see what happened in when they were all out for 138, which is the obvious drawback of this kind of an approach. But otherwise, when it clicks, you end up winning more matches more often than not. When you talk about Shreyas Iyer, I think he is not actually a part of that blueprint, because whenever you see him play, it's not looking like that he is following that ideology. Because if you see the strike rates of all the players at the moment, you will see that they are playing more free flowingly, they are playing more aggressively. But Shreyas Iyer somewhere down the line is playing that conservative, that old brand of cricket that India has kind of shelved. So I think that is one thing that he needs to take care of. But when you are not in form, playing that kind of cricket is not easy. So I think that yes, he has been given a lot of opportunities, he has been backed a lot by the management, but time is running out for him. So he needs to make amends. The quicker he makes it, the better for him.
Right, we'll get back to Shreyas Iyer now. अभी बात करते हैं टॉस की, तो the toss has been delayed, which is not a good news. So बारिश हो रही है, मैच इंग्लैंड में नहीं हो रहा, मैच हो रहा है फ्लोरिडा में, लेकिन बारिश हो रही है और उसके चक्कर में मैच डिले हो चुका है। एंड विद दिस डिले, आई होप ये बहुत ज्यादा डिले ना हो, क्योंकि हम इंडियन फैंस परेशान हो चुके हैं इस बारिश के चक्कर में। बार बार मैच होने को जाता है, कभी टॉस नहीं हो पाता, कभी मैच नहीं हो पाता, हमें क्रिकेट खेलना है, हमें नहीं पता। इसके साथ एक सवाल ये आता है हमें प्रत्यय कि ये मैच यूएस में करा क्यों रहे हैं, ये मैच फ्लोरिडा में हो क्यों रहा है? लाइक इंडिया विंडीज का ये पूरा इंडिया इज ऑन द टूर टू विंडीज, मैच दिया आपने विंडीज में कराया, दोहा फ्लोरिडा में करा रहे हैं, रीजन क्या है? व्हाई दिस सडनली यूएस इज इन दिस whole scenario? Why is this happening?
See, I think we call cricket. I mean, it's a very famous sport, no doubt. Like, because it's followed in those countries where the population is really high. But if you start counting the number of countries that are actually involved in cricket, and in the real sense, I mean, of course, there are a lot of full members that the ICC has. But if you really start looking at how many teams are actually actively participating, how many teams are playing Test cricket, how many teams are playing regularly, in that sense, you will not have more than a handful of names, perhaps 10, at best 12. I think if you really want to globalize cricket in the true sense, because of course India is a country of more than a billion people, so of course whenever you're talking about, even if one country is following it as passionately, you'll perhaps end up calling it as a global sport. But if you actually see it, is cricket a real global sport? So perhaps answer would be no. So I think taking it to the US with the Olympics coming, and again, it's one of those uncharted territory as far as cricket is concerned, because cricket has not really made a lot of inroads in that region. But we know what a great commercial opportunity it is in terms of broadcasting, what kind of opportunities US brings, because it's of course the world leaders of everything. So you do want to take the sport there. So I think if it is limited in these many countries and still cricket is thriving the way it is, if you end up taking it to the US, the sky will be the limit, I think. So I think it's from that perspective that you just try to globalize the game a little more and take and kind of explore a new market. So I think nothing bigger than the US from that sense. I think these two games will be a great exhibition for the people there. And there is also cricket happening. I mean, there is minor league cricket going on. There's major league cricket coming up next year. So yes, it's good sign for the sports health that it's going, and it's kind of expanding its horizons all the more.
Right, and when Pratyay said the sky is the only limit, it doesn't mean Suryakumar Yadav is the only limit. But yes, sky is the only limit for all of us. Because when it comes to cricket, हम चाहते हैं कि game global हो. And Vignesh, with that, I want to come to you about this since it is the very first time when the Indian women cricket is going to, like, basically women cricket is going to get is happening in Commonwealth. So ये पहली बार ऐसा हो रहा है. What are your thoughts on this? Is it going to help the sport to be globalized? और कॉमनवेल्थ कितना इम्पोर्टेंट है इन टर्म्स ऑफ कि वो इस स्पोर्ट को हेल्प करे या फिर नेशंस को हेल्प करे टू नो अबाउट दिस गेम व्हाट आर योर थॉट्स ऑन इट
Yeah, 100%. With the Commonwealth Games being a big event, so cricket coming to play after 24 years, I think it's a move, it's a step forward. With the 28 Olympics inside, the ICC have also tried, and they're going forward. So I think it's a good sign, and India making it is a brilliant sign. With even for the Indian women's IPL, the big bashes. There's a women's BBL, the 100 the last season and this season as well. I think with the many women cricketers wanting the Indian IPL, I think it's a very good step forward, and I think it's a very good sign for Indian cricket to come.
राइट सो कॉमनवेल्थ में जब क्रिकेट मैच होगा तो डेफिनेटली गेम तो ग्लोबलाइज होगा और इस गेम को ग्लोबलाइज करने के लिए आई एम श्योर आईसीसी इज वर्किंग लाइक एनीथिंग बट अभी तक हमारे पास जो डिले है टॉस को लेकर के इस मैच को लेकर के अभी तक टॉस डिलेड ही है उसके बारे में कोई और अपडेट नहीं है वेट आउटफील्ड है बारिश हो रही है तो हम क्या करेंगे हम करेंगे क्रिकेट पर बात बट उससे पहले हम जान लेते हैं एक बार सोशल ट्रैकर में क्या चल रहा है और सोशली लोग इस मैच के बारे में क्या बात करें क्योंकि आई एम श्योर बहुत सारे मीम्स इस वक्त चल रहे होंगे जब भी बारिश आती है जब भी क्रिकेट की बात होती है तो बहुत सारे मीम्स आते हैं बहुत सारे सोशल ट्रैकर पे बातें होती हैं लेट्स टेक अ लुक ऑन सोशल ट्रैकर ऑफ टुडेज मैच सो फर्स्ट यहाँ पे मेरे पास ट्वीट आया है शहबाज का इंडियाज विनिंग T20 MOM अवार्ड इन मोस्ट डिफरेंट कंट्रीज रोहित शर्मा 7 दिनेश कार्तिक 4 विराट कोहली 4 and Bhuvaneshwar Kumar 4 let's look at another social tracker of today okay my Indian 11 for Asia Cup Rohit, KL Rahul, Virat Kohli, Sky, Rishabh Pant, Hardik Pandya, Jadeja, and this is Bhuvaneshwar and Bumrah, Chahal and Arshdeep. Okay, do we have any other social tracker for today? Okay, it's flat pitch in Florida. ये कहना है यहाँ पे शाहिद का. Well, that's quite a social tracker for all of us. Do we have another? Okay. Record alert, Suryakumar Yadav needs only 10 runs to be on the top of ICC men's T20I ranking. If Sky will score today more than 10 runs, then Babar will no longer be the guy constantly on first position. That's quite a big milestone Suryakumar is going to achieve. So, प्रत्येक बात करेंगे यहाँ पे इंडिया की बहुत बात कर ली एक बार वेस्ट इंडीज पे नजर डाल लेते हैं विंडीज की टीम बैटिंग क्लिक नहीं कर पाई हमने लास्ट मैचेस में देखा निकोलस पूरन है उसका पार्ट हमने वहां पे देखा शिमरन हेटमेयर है रोमन पॉवेल है बट नहीं दिखी वो हिटिंग नहीं दिखी वो पावर जो जिसके लिए विंडीज जानी जाती है T20 वर्ल्ड कप इज राउंड द कॉर्नर वी नो कि बहुत कम मैचेस अब बचे हैं विंडीज के बाद इंडिया के बाद उनका नेक्स्ट टूर ऑस्ट्रेलिया से है वहां पर जाकर T20 आईज खेलेंगे फिर सीधा T20 वर्ल्ड कप में उनका सामना होगा सारी बिग टीम्स के साथ क्या कॉम्बिनेशन है उनके पास T20 वर्ल्ड कप के लिए रेडी है क्या उनको अपनी स्ट्रेटजी पे वर्क करने की जरूरत है स्पेशली इस मैच में क्या चेंजेस कर सकते हैं विल टॉक अबाउट दिस विद प्रत्यय
Yeah, I think the good part for them would be that when they get a chance to play in Australia, that would be a good thing because if you talk about India, they are not going to play in Australia. They are going to play T20 cricket, but that's not in Australia. वेस्ट इंडीज ऑन दी अदर हैंड उनके पास में एक बेनिफिट होगा क्योंकि आप अपने आप को उन परिस्थितियों से ज़्यादा अच्छी तरीके से आप भाप सकते हैं थोड़ा सा आप अपने आप को एक्लिमेटाइज कर सकते हैं वहाँ पे जाकर के सो वो एक उनके पास में पॉजिटिव है आई थिंक द बिगेस्ट एंड द हार्डेस्ट पार्ट ऑफ बीइंग anyone who is a West Indies fan at the moment is that this is still a team which has great players. I mean, if you start looking at the names that they have, right from top to bottom, these are not players who do not know how to play their games or they do not know, they do not have the gas to perform at this level. But the problem is that it's a team sport at the end of the day. And I've said this, and even at the cost of sounding repetitive, I always say that at least you have to have 5 to 6 players clicking on a day, even if it's not 11 players working well on a given day. You still need to have at least 5 to 6 players. The problem with West Indies is that they end up having 1 or 2 performances, and even those are not very convincing because you have to outpower your opposition because that is when you are going to end up winning the game. This problem is one thing which has hurt them the most because I don't think that it's a side that does not have talent or does not have the depth to perform at any level. But I think, and specifically in this particular format, because this is a format that we know West Indies are the champions of. They've a couple of times winning the World Cup, and this is again those that kind of format which what they are known for, because they play that kind of cricket. They are aggressive. They know these are great hitters. They can just stand and deliver at any moment. So for them, I think it's the only thing is that they want to they need to capitalize upon those kind of starts. Batting unit, I think, is full of firepower, but again, you have to make yourself click. So until and unless they are not clicking in unison, I think that the problems are going to persist. But I still don't think that this or this is a team that you would want to kind of write off, because on their day we know that how dangerous they can be. It's just that they need to capitalize properly, execute their plans in the correct way, and just click in unison. I think if they can manage to do that, I don't think that there's any side that they cannot beat on their day.
Right. And Vignesh, your opinion on Windies' performance, Windies' batting precisely, I would ask, what is their problem and why, like, what is the solution to this? What do you think about it?
I think they're getting starts, but they're not converting. That's what I feel. And also with the West Indies playing the qualifiers this year to actually go into the main event, I think again with players like Evan Lewis, if it's Andre Russell and maybe Sunil Narayan, also players coming in, if they come in and if the board allows it, I think it's going to be a solid unit. So you just can't write them off. So with the qualifiers, I think I'm pretty sure they're going to win the qualifiers to go enter the main event, and with the carrying the momentum, you just never know, no. With again with that Darren Sammy's team, that one, he just pulled off stuff that no one thought they would. So I think it's a solid team. Again, it's about time. Again, sometimes you're just out of runs and you're not out of form. So that's what I believe in cricket. So I think it's the runs are going to come and they are going to win matches. Again, it's about trusting the process and moving forward.
All right. With that note, I'm going to thank Pratyay and Vignesh to joining me on this show where we have talked about India and Windies for T20I. आई होप टॉस में जो डिले हुआ है वो ज्यादा डिले ना हो और बहुत जल्दी हमें अपडेट पता चले और आपको इसकी हर एक अपडेट के लिए मैच की हर एक अपडेट के लिए यू कैन जस्ट गो एंड सिंपली go and follow us on all the social media handles Facebook, YouTube, Instagram. You'll get all the updates there. वेबसाइट पे जाइए, वहां पे आपको बहुत ही अच्छे आर्टिकल्स मिलेंगे टू रीड अबाउट द मैच. डेफिनेटली कोई भी अपडेट चाहिए, क्रिक ट्रैकर शुड बी योर वन स्टॉप डेस्टिनेशन फॉर दैट. बाकी प्रत्यय और विघ्नेश और मेरा काम तो है ही आप लोगों को सारी अपडेट्स देना. हम आपसे दोबारा मिलेंगे पोस्ट मैच में तो नहीं, पर हम कल आपको प्री मैच में जरूर मिलेंगे और हम आपसे इस मैच के बारे में और कल के होने वाले मैच के बारे में बात करेंगे और इस पूरी T20 सीरीज को सम अप करेंगे. टिल देन यू कीप वाचिंग क्रिक ट्रैकर और हमें 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 फिलहाल यहाँ से आज जाने दीजिए. हम भी जाकर मैच एंजॉय करते हैं और आप सबसे वापस मिलेंगे कब? कल मिलेंगे मैं, प्रत्यय और विघ्नेश. तब तक के लिए टिल देन बाय बाय.